Hello everyone, my name is Praween. As per the demand from our few subscribers as well as our students, today we will deal History NCERT Lesson 2, Socialism in Europe and Russian Revolution. This chapter basically we will deal in 6 parts. The first part we will deal about introduction. The second part we will deal from the period 1894 to 1914. The third part we will discuss about 1917, that is the year of Russian Revolution. The fourth part we will discuss from 1918 to 21, that is the year of Civil War. The fifth part we will discuss about 1922 onwards, that is the formation of USSR and Stalin era. Then at last part we will do the revision. So friends, this is our first video, and in this introduction part, we will discuss about two things. That is, the first one is background and second one is very important timeline chart. So to know background, we have to move to 1750, that is the year of Industrial Revolution that started from England. And very soon it reached to Russia also during the 19th to 20th century. When industrialization started in Russia, so society of Russia was divided into two parts. The first part was very rich owners and the second part was of workers. Workers were known as proletariat. The rich owner were always exploited workers and the workers' condition was very bad. The condition of poor people, the workers, were very bad. They were working for very long hour of time. Their wages were very low. Their living condition was very poor. They were living in slum type of area. Their health condition was very poor. They were struggling for even basic facilities. And in the other side, the rich owner, their condition was getting better and better. That's why there was huge gap between rich owner and poor workers. So in this picture, one great person whose name was Karl Marx came into picture. Karl Marx is a very big name in history and he has given a philosophy of socialism under which he talks about the poor people, and he says that until and unless poor people will not have political power, their condition will not improve. So he is basically talking about the political power should be in the hand of proletariat, that is workers. On the other hand, we have one more personality who was very famous in history of Russian Revolution, whose name was Vladimir Lenin. So Vladimir Lenin was agree with the concept of Karl Marx, but with little modification. He said that the political power should be in the hand of proletariat, that is workers. But since these workers are huge in number, that's why they cannot manage it properly. That's why there will be a dictator who will enjoy this political power on behalf of the workers. So their philosophy is known as Marxist-Leninist philosophy. Few political parties are there in India, such as CPIML, which stands for Communist Party of India, Marxist-Leninist, which works on the philosophy of Karl Marx as well as Vladimir Lenin. So this is a simple background in which few philosophers talks about the empowerment of proletariat, that is workers. So this is about background that how some philosophers are talking about the proletariat like Karl Marx and all, and how the leader like Vladimir Lenin will implement their theories in a practical life. And we will discuss about the challenges that will be faced by Vladimir Lenin, and we will discuss that whether he will be successful or not. And everything we'll discuss about this chapter in detail in this lecture. So first of all, we'll deal with the timeline chart, and this timeline chart is very, very important. So we'll start from 1894. In 1894, the king, the Tsar Nicholas II will come into power. Then we'll talk about 1898, in which the political power, which name was Russian Socialist Democratic Workers' Party, will be established, but there will be internal conflicts within the member regarding the ideologies. That's why it will be bifurcated into two parts, namely Bolshevik and Menshevik in 1903. Then we will discuss about the Indo-Japanese War of 1904. Then we will discuss about the 1905 Bloody Sunday. Then directly we will discuss about 1914, that is World War I. Then we will discuss the most important year of Russian Revolution, that is 1917. Actually, Russian Revolution happened in two phases, the Feb as well as October. So the first one is known as Feb Revolution and second one is known as October Revolution. After that we will discuss about the Civil War that lasted from 1918 to 21. After that we will discuss about 1922, the year of formation of USSR, that is Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. Then we will discuss about 1924, the death of Lenin and the rise of Stalin. Then we will discuss about Stalin, that how he will bring the economic reform and some great changes, such as in 1929 he has brought the concept of collectivization, and in 1928 to 32 he has brought the 5-year plan for the first time in the entire history. So these many things we have to discuss in this chapter, and it will be a great learning, great experience. So that's it in this part, the introduction part, where we have discussed about the background as well as very important timeline chart. The next video we will discuss about 1894 to 1914, that is from Tsar Nicholas II to the World War I, which is very very important. This is the second part of Russian Revolution. In the first part we have discussed about background and timeline chart. In this part we will begin from 1894 and our target year will be 1914. So we will start from 1894. In 1894 we will discuss about the king Tsar Nicholas II. Tsar Nicholas II was from Romanov family and he will rule over Russia from 1894 to 1917. Then in 1898 we will discuss about political party which name was Russian Social Democratic Workers Party. In this political party there was internal conflicts within the member, and that's why it will be bifurcated into two parts in 1903 into Bolshevik and Menshevik. There were ideological differences between these two groups. Bolshevik meaning in Russia the meaning of Bolshevik is majority and the meaning of Menshevik is minority, but in reality Bolshevik were always in minority and Menshevik were always in majority. Why? Because Bolshevik believes in dictatorship whereas Menshevik believes in democratic setup. The leader of Bolshevik was, any guesses? I'll show you one picture, you please identify him and then you tell me. I'm giving you 5 seconds. Yes, you got it right, he is Vladimir Lenin. You have to remember him. Why? Because he is very very important character in this Russian Revolution. The leader of Menshevik was Julius Martov. So they are not that much important, but you have to remember about Vladimir Lenin. And remember, this division took place in 1903. Then we will discuss about the war between Russia and Japan in 1904, that is famously known as Russo-Japanese War. Actually, the Russia as well as Japan was not a country on that time, it was empire. So it was Russian Empire and Japan was Japanese Empire. So they both were fighting for Manchuria and Korea. If you see the world map, so Korea is located in between these two places, and in Manchuria there is one place which is known as Port Arthur. So Port Arthur is a type of port which is open for all 12 months, and Russia on that time was not having any port which was open for all 12 months. That's why they wanted to capture over it and they attacked on Japan, but ultimately Japan won and Russia defeated. With this defeat, Russia faced severe economic depression and the most vulnerable group was the poor people. So because of this economic depression, poor people were losing their job, they were not getting proper wages, they are not getting proper facilities, and that's why they were demanding few basic facilities from the king. But instead of listening the problem of people, king sent their army to kill those people who were revolting against the king at a place which is known as St. Petersburg. The leader of the workers was Father Gapon, and the day was Sunday. Hundreds of people killed, that's why it is known as Bloody Sunday. And this Bloody Sunday is also known as 1905 Revolution. So you have to remember it, and the day was 22nd of January. After this Bloody Sunday, people have not dropped their demand. They continued with their demand. So ultimately, because of the people's pressure, King brought a declaration which was known as October Manifesto, under which he brought a concept of Duma. So Duma was Russian parliament which was having some legislative as well as executive power, and since it was parliament, so there was prime minister also. So the name of prime minister was Peter Stolypin. He was popularly known as Peter the Great. He got the title the Great. Why? Because he was working for the poor people. He brought very good land reforms, and he improved the condition of workers and laborers. That's why he was very popular among the poor people. Every people, whenever they faced any problem, they were approaching to Peter the Great, and they were not asking to Tsar Nicholas II. That's why Peter the Great was becoming more and more popular, and Tsar Nicholas II was facing jealous from his popularity. That's why, as per the rumor, Peter the Great was assassinated in 1911 by the king. But it was rumor, we don't have conclusive evidence, so you have to note this point. Then directly we will switch to 1914, that is the year of World War I. So here I'll show you only the glimpse of this World War I. If you want to know more about World War I, so you please let us know in the comment box. So we will make a complete video on World War I. So if you want to know about World War I, then please let us know in comment box. So here I'll give you few little basic information about this World War I, that it was fought between two groups which was known as Central Power and Allied Power. In Central Power, there was a member like Germany, Austria and Turkey. And in Allied Power, we had France, Britain, Russia, and later USA also joined in 1917. So this World War I will be very, very important reason behind Russian Revolution. So in third part of this lecture, we will come to know that how this Russian Revolution took place, and why this World War I was very, very important reason behind this Russian Revolution. This is the third part of our lecture, that is Russian Revolution. In the last part we have discussed from period 1894 to 1914, and in this part we will discuss about the year of Russian Revolution, that is 1917. So let's begin. So we'll start directly after World War I. So whenever any country is fighting wars, there are so many losses that they bear, such as the loss of people, loss of property, loss of soldier, loss of time, loss of money, and loss of n number of other things. There are some data which says that there were 80 lakh people killed of Russia, and about 20 lakh soldiers were also killed. And it was very big part of total population of Russia during that time. Apart from these losses, I just want to mention one more thing, is that during the wartime there is always a high demand of the resources, and in factories on that time people, especially the male population, was not working. Why? Because they were busy in doing battle. So that's why, because of lack of labor, the production was very less, means supply was very less. So one side demand was very high but supply was very less. That's why what will start? Inflation. Inflation means price rise. So prices of basic commodities were also increasing and people were suffering a lot. So in this case we can think that what people will do? Yes, people will do the revolt. And that was known as Russian Revolution. So now we will discuss about Russian Revolution that has happened in two phases, that is Feb Revolution as well as October Revolution. Before starting this Russian Revolution, I would like to mention two things, that is about river Neva as well as about calendar. So first of all we will discuss about river Neva. So river Neva was very important river of Russia, and it was divided into two parts, the left bank and right bank. In right bank all the poor people were living, like peasants, farmers, laborers, workers. So in left bank all the important places were there such as Winter Palace and all. And all official building such as Duma was there. All rich people and important people were living in left bank only. So that was about river Neva. Now we will discuss about calendar. So calendar what we have used in case of Russia was of two type. The first one is known as Julian calendar and the second one is known as Gregorian calendar. So Julian calendar was old calendar and Gregorian calendar was new calendar. Julian calendar was discontinued after 1918 and there is a difference of about 13 days, 13 days in between Julian calendar and Gregorian calendar. Gregorian calendar is 13 days ahead than Julian calendar. So as per the Julian calendar, the first phase of Russian Revolution happened in Feb 1917, but as per the Gregorian calendar, it happened in March 1917. Similarly, the second phase of Russian Revolution happened in October 1917 as per the Julian calendar, but if we talk in terms of Gregorian calendar, so month will change to November 1917. So that you have to remember, this February Revolution is sometimes known as March Revolution and this October Revolution is also known as November Revolution as per the Gregorian calendar. So this Gregorian calendar is a new calendar that we are using all over the world now. Now the next part we'll discuss is the sequence of this Feb revolution. So we'll directly begin from 22nd of Feb when about 50,000 factory workers went on strike because of this price rise and food shortage. And the next 23rd of Feb women did bread riot and this 23rd of Feb is as per the Julian calendar. And if you will add 13 more days, means as per the Gregorian calendar the date will come 8th of March and 8th of March is the International Women's Day. After that the king will again send their army people to kill those who are revolting against the king, as we have seen in case of Bloody Sunday. But this time there will be twist. This time instead of killing to the common people, army has joined hands with the common people, the workers, and they have formed the new group which was known as Soviet. So Soviet was a combination of workers plus soldiers. This Soviet you have to remember because when in 1922 we will discuss about USSR, one S stands for Soviet only, that is Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. So when king lost the control over his army, so he was powerless, that's why he has to abdicate from his post on 2nd of March 1917. Abdication means resignation from the powers. Before abdication, Tsar Nicholas II has also dismissed Duma. So if you remember, Duma was Russian parliament. So there was no king, there was no parliament. So who will take over Russia? So the answer was Provisional Government. Provisional Government was a temporary government. So the leader of this Provisional Government was Alexander Kerensky, and he was from Menshevik group. So if you remember, the Menshevik party and Bolshevik party. So in this Provisional Government, majority of the members were from Menshevik party only. One more thing why people were not happy with this royal family was that there was a person whose name was Rasputin. So Rasputin was considered to be a monk, and there was a rumor that there was an affair between Rasputin as well as the wife of Tsar Nicholas II, that is Tsarina Alexandria. So people were not happy with these rumors. So this is all about this February Revolution. So now we will discuss about October Revolution. So before coming to the month of October, we will directly start from the April. So when Tsar Nicholas II abdicated on 2nd of March, then next month, that is April, Vladimir Lenin came from his exile. So when he came from his exile in April, so he demanded three things. The first one is stop World War I because people are facing so many problems. The second one is nationalization of bank. What is the meaning of nationalization? The government will control over the resources. Why government should control? So that the common people, the poor people can also get benefit of banking system. The third one is land be transferred to peasants, means equal distribution of resources. So these three demands made by Vladimir Lenin is also known as April Thesis. Because of this demand, the popularity of Bolshevik were increasing, and on the other hand, this provisional government, who has made promise to the people that they will conduct election, they have never conducted. And they also said that they will stop World War I, but they were not stopping World War I also. That's why people were not happy with this provisional government. And in the month of July, the popularity of Bolshevik were increasing and the popularity of Menshevik-led provisional government was decreasing. Then on 16th of October 1917, there was a unification of Soviet plus Bolshevik militia, which was popularly known as MRC, that is Military Revolution Committee, and the leader was Leon Trotsky, and the leader of Leon Trotsky was Vladimir Lenin. So Leon Trotsky was the leader of MRC and Vladimir Lenin was the leader of the whole group. After that, on 24th of October, Alexander Kerensky went out of St. Petersburg to gain more support. This particular thing seen as an opportunity by the Bolshevik-led MRC, that is Military Revolution Committee, which is also known as Red Guard. So this Red Guard attacked on St. Petersburg, and on St. Petersburg on that time it was known as Petrograd. So Petrograd is St. Petersburg only. So they attacked on St. Petersburg and they captured all important places. And this particular uprising, nobody was killed. That's why this October Revolution is also known as Bloodless Revolution, and it is also known as second phase of Russian Revolution. So you have to remember. So that's it in this part, in which we have discussed about Russian Revolution phase 1, that is Feb Revolution, and phase 2, that is October Revolution. In the next part we will discuss about civil war that will start from 1918 to 21. And now we will discuss about the civil war. When Vladimir Lenin emerged as the biggest leader of Russia after this Russian Revolution, so he was having so many enemies also. So the people who were supporting Vladimir Lenin and the people who were opposing Vladimir Lenin was divided into two parts. So first part is known as White Guard, the second part is known as Red Guard. So this civil war of Russia was also known as Red versus Whites. So this Red was supported by MRC, that is Military Revolution Committee, under which there was a combination of Soviet plus Bolshevik militia. The common people were supporting these Reds. So in other part, the Whites were supported by the rich people, the nobles, the people who were supporting to the king, and the countries like France, Britain and USA. Now the question comes that why France, Britain and USA were supporting to Whites? Actually they were supporting, why? Because Russia has came out of World War I and they wanted to continue World War I. And the second reason was the concept of Comintern that was introduced by Vladimir Lenin in 1919. What is the meaning of Comintern? Comintern made from two words, that is Comin and Intern. So Comin mean communist and Intern mean international. So spreading the concept of communism in the entire world is known as Comintern, that is Communist International. So the concept of communism is completely against the concept of capitalism, and this country, that is France, Britain and USA, are supporting capitalism and they were opposing communism or the socialism. So that's why they were in the group of Whites. So ultimately fighting for about 4 years, who won? Any guesses? Yes, the Red people won. So after completion of this civil war, and when Vladimir Lenin will become the supreme leader of Russia, so he will create a new country which will be known as USSR, that is Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. So we'll discuss about this in the next part of this video, that is the fifth part, that is USSR and the Stalin era. This is the fifth part of this lecture, that is USSR and Stalin era. In the last part we have discussed about civil war. So after the formation of USSR in 1922, there will be a death of Lenin in 1924, and one more great leader of Russia will take over him, whose name was Joseph Stalin. Now we'll discuss about Stalin and what reforms he has brought. So after becoming the leader of Russia, he brought so many reforms. The first one, he brought a concept of collectivization in 1929, in which he said that the biggest problem in achieving the society of socialism is the rich farmers, which was known as kulaks. So he wanted to finish the concept of rich farmer, and he wanted to distribute the resources equally to all people. And all people will work on a shared land, which is known as kolkhoz, and whatever profit they will get, they will distribute equally. So this concept is known as collectivization, which was brought by Stalin in year 1929. The next we'll discuss about 5-year planning that came for the first time in the entire world and brought in Russia by Stalin from period 1928 to 1932. This 5-year plan was very good. They were having targeted planning that what they will do in the upcoming 5 years, which was later adopted by so many other countries. Even India adopted after getting independence. So that's it in this part. So in this part we have discussed about Stalin, collectivization as well as 5-year planning. The next part we'll discuss about revision. This is the last part, that is part 6, and here we will do the revision, very quick revision. So without wasting time, we will start. So first of all, we have begin with few philosophers like Karl Marx, who has given a concept of socialism. Actually on that time the workers' condition was very bad because of industrialization, and Karl Marx said that the workers' condition will only improve when they will get political power. Then we have discussed about the leaders such as Vladimir Lenin. After that, in 1898, we have discussed about the political party which name was Russian Socialist Democratic Workers' Party, which will later bifurcate into two parts, Bolshevik and Menshevik, in 1903. After that, we have discussed about Russo-Japanese War in 1904, in which Russia was defeated and Japan won. Then we have discussed about 1905 Bloody Sunday. Then we have discussed about the Duma, that was Russian Parliament. And then we have discussed about the Prime Minister whose name was Peter the Great from year 1906 to 11. Then we have discussed about very important World War I, and it was very important reason behind the Russian Revolution of 1917. It happened in two phases, that is Feb Revolution as well as October Revolution. So ultimately after this Russian Revolution, Vladimir Lenin will become the supreme leader of Russia, and he will form USSR, that is Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, in 1922. After that, in 1924, Lenin will die and Stalin will come into power, and Stalin will bring so many reforms, such as in 1929 he will bring the policy of collectivization, and in 1928 to 32 he will bring the policy of 5-year planning. And 5-year planning was the first 5-year planning that was brought in Russia by Stalin, so that you have to remember. So the two things at least that our India has inherited from Russia was the concept of socialism as well as 5-year planning. So that's it in this chapter. We have overall completed all the parts of this chapter. So if you like our video, then please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. So now directly we will meet in the next video, in which we will discuss history lesson 3, that is Nazism and the rise of Hitler. Till then, bye bye, happy learning and take care of yourself.